Okay guys, Karl here, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick demo of how to use the NowDriven, the website application. And you can notice that it's going to always be parked at nowdrivencrm.com. So if you, for whatever reason, forget where to go, that'll be the place that you need to go. Now that you'll see that there's a couple of different options here that you can do. One of the options is the Facebook login, or you can do the normal login. And if you forget your password, you can go here. Remember to like us on any of our social media on the bottom. And if you don't have an account, you can actually create one here. Now, I do want to mention that if you found us during the launch, this is going to be a different pricing structure. And this is probably going to be the pricing structure that's based off of our retail version. So I don't recommend that you go through there. Just letting you know. So if you just remember to put remember me and log in once you know your credentials. The other thing is, like I said, the Facebook, this particular account isn't hooked up to my regular account, so it's not going to sync. But the first time that you do use it, it's going to ask you for your Facebook credentials, and then it'll allow you to do it from the future from there on out. It's just another added feature in case you don't like to remember passwords and you don't want to keep it on here for whatever reason. However, like I said, just if you hit the remember me, it'll remember you unless you clear your cookies. So now that I logged in, you can see on the top here is considered the dashboard. And on the dashboard, you can see it's going to have your name. It's going to tell you the leads that you have on hand, which are the new opportunities. It's going to show you how much money in current sales you've made. And this number can be based off of what you want to implement. Some people want to implement just their commission so they know what they're making. And some people like to do the total number of sales. So if you're selling like a big ticket item, say you sell, furniture, $10,000 couches or something like that, and you wanted to just say total sales and you knew that you made like a 20% commission, you could do that too. A lot of companies like to just use the total number in sales. And in insurance, you could use like annual premium, the annual amount of money that you stick in there. And then you could see, you could figure out your commissions from there. And it's just up to you on what you want to do when you're filling out the disposition after you made a sale. So then the next thing on the right here is the closed sales. This is actually used for any of your demos or presentations and that you've closed. So, if you're on phone sales, or if you do field sales, or if you do business sales, or people walk into your office, each time that you do a presentation, that's going to count on the right. And every time you close a sale and you said that you made them a customer and you sold them, that's going to be this number 7 right here. To the right is presentations. Like I said before, could be demos, presentations, walkthroughs, the first time you meet with a customer or potential client and you've given them some sort of information or you've done sort of a presentation at least, you'd probably want to start counting that as a presentation at that point. However, presentations are counted as sales or no sales. So even if you don't make a no sell, you can always schedule a callback or another appointment or something like that in the disposition form. Below here is part of your analytics. Now, it's not all of your analytics, but it is important to know where your sales and where your presentations are coming from. And you can build each of your own source, basically your lead source. So say you did a telemarketing campaign and it was for a cable company, let's just say. You wanted to actually track every single lead that came through there. And so you could actually build the source type, and it would actually show up here as once you started presenting to these leads, it would say, well, like if you notice your source 1, 70% of my presentations came from source 1, and that's just because I uploaded like 500 or 400 something leads in there that all came uploaded as source 1, so it's it's going to be a high number anyway. Then you'll see what the number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and number 5 is. These are all the same, but it's still going to be in that order chronologically. So then the next part on the side on the right is the sales. So this will tell you the percentage of your sales that come from each source type. Now, obviously, you can see on the left-hand side that the most presentations come from here, so obviously the most sales are going to come from there. I'm going to show you too where it's going to show you your closing ratio on each one of these leads. Okay, so now the next section here is your goal, and your goal can be set however you want to set your goal. You can set it based between two date ranges, and you can name it whatever you want to name it. On here, it's mainly the things that you need to focus on in order to hit this total sales number. And usually, in most businesses, it's either about the number of phone calls, the number of presentations, the number of drop-bys, and number of sales. So we do have a number of phone calls that's going to be implemented in here shortly, but right now we've just got the 4. It is in the actual goal tracker itself, and I'll show you that in a minute as well. And you can still track it. It's just not going to show up on your dashboard. Okay, so now after we pass the goal part, you'll see down here is today's schedule, and all of these will be scheduled into like my iCal or my Google Calendar, as long as you sync it when you add something, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But if you notice on the bottom here, it's got the most important information that you need. So it'll have an event title if you decided to add it, and even if you didn't, like on the app, you can put nothing there, and it'll actually just put the name. So you could see these were probably added from the app most likely, or I put the name in there. This one wasn't, so it might have been added from inside here. Might have been done by one of my developers too, I don't know, because they're still testing, doing a lot of testing with the system. You'll see the business name. This is important too, especially if you work with businesses, to actually know the name of the business and then the name of the person. If you click on the person, it'll actually allow you to edit the lead. And then also you can do the same thing on the right-hand side. Now on the right-hand side are the main actions, the main functions that you can do. So if you wanted to make a phone call and you wanted to call one of these leads, so let's say I wanted to call this one down here through Skype, I would just press this button like this. And then it's going to ask me right there if I want to be, if I want to make a phone call, and I'd hit call, and then it's going to start calling that number. So very, very cool. So very cool right there. You can just make a phone call. Right here, I can actually see where it's going to be out on the map. So let's go back to this one, and let's see where it's going to be located on the map. Now currently working on a bug right here. This map is actually going to fit inside this box here, so you don't have to scroll down like I just did. It'll actually be, whoops, it'll actually be right in there. So, but as you can see, right here, it shows me my lead, and it's right where it's located, this lead. And there's the address, everything that you need. You know, I can scroll more into it or double click into it. And so it shows you the route of where it's at now. The cool thing is I'm going to show you in a minute is how to add a bunch of leads onto here. So you can click off there, and then let's say I wanted to change it in the schedule, I could press that button. I'm going to show you that later. And then let's say if I wanted a disposition, I could click that button. I'll show you that later as well. Now the next thing is you have user management, which you can look at all the people if you have a manager's account, if you have agents, or if you have salespeople under you, or Salesforce. Say you're a regional director or general manager of some sort, you could actually have a huge force of people under you. It's really about it. You can actually also look at login history, and right here I'm going to show you the analytics. So when you click on here, okay, so once it opens up in here, then you'll be able to see all of your group of people. Like I said, my account is a regional director, so I'm going to see a lot more, which is my account right here. And you'll have their phone numbers if they have one listed, and you can actually call them from here as long as you have a phone number listed for them. And you can see their last login, so you could see if they've been working, and you can see how many leads are in their database, make sure that they have plenty of leads to work. And you can see their status, if they're active or if they're not active within the system. Say they canceled their system or whatever, they don't have it. You can actually open up to even more. Say you had more people, you could open up to, I think up to 300, yeah. So up to 300 there. Now let's just look at my analytics, because really in this system I'm only working myself. And anyway, you can see though, just so you know, you can promote people up or down. So if they were promoted to a manager, you can actually promote them within the system, and you can say who that they report to in the system as well, like who their next person in line is that they need to report to. So let's go to my reports. Now in the reports here is everything's going to be based off the date range. So let's just say I wanted to look at last month to today. And so here it's going to show you these are just your basic numbers between these two dates, and it's not going to really break down the source completely, but it will tell you at least what you're doing. So like I've had 19 new leads come into the system. That's opportunities. And then it has callbacks, how many phone calls I've actually set as a callback, and number of drop-bys. These are the ones I went to and either presented to or I didn't. It still tracks it for you. Number of appointments, 18. Number of no-shows, so I had one person that didn't show up. Number of presentations. This will show you the total number of presentations that you did, number of sales between that time, number of calls made. So again, it's really important to track those numbers right there. And then your annual net sales. So $14,510 was my annual net sales. This, like I said, is whatever you want to put in there. You can make it your commission. You can make it your total sales number. You can make it the value of what you're selling. It's really up to you. You can do annual premium if that's what, if you're in insurance, like my background. And so then the next thing here is miles driven. If you want to start using the mileage tracker, there's a mileage tracker in here. It'll help you keep track of your miles. It doesn't do the report, which that's going to be an updated feature in the future. Then on here, dead leads, which is 8. And that's it. Then it tells you pretty much the same information that you have on the presentations, but it's giving you your total between those dates. So the next thing is the average. And then also too, by the way, from here, you can actually look at other people's, so you don't have to go back. The next one here is average, your averages, and averages are usually based off like weekly, monthly, and yearly. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to look at just like the beginning of the year to today. Okay, so average number of on a weekly basis, I think. Let's see. Yeah. Let's just do monthly, but you can do monthly and yearly. Really, you're going to only do weekly or monthly. But on a monthly basis, out of all the leads I've brought in there, I'm bringing in about 281 leads. That's a lot of leads on a monthly basis. If you're going to go after it, you're going to go after it. Average callbacks, 0, because I really haven't been doing a lot of callbacks. Average calls made, 14. Average drop-bys, 62 in a month. That's kind of low. We can do more than that. Average appointments, 13. Average sales, 11. Average presentations. So in a month, this is what it's giving me. Average premium. Now, I probably should change the date here because beginning of the year, we really put in some crazy numbers just to make sure the system can handle it. So here we go. Now you'll see average presentations, average premium per sale. So this premium number is really the average dollars per sale, or average, if you do decide to stick in your commission, it's going to say average commission per sale. Average premium per lead. So there'll be like average commission per lead or average dollar amount per lead on your sales number. Your closing ratio. This is your total closing ratio on everything. Then it's going to break down into your show ratio. So your appointment to presentation. There is something wrong here. So we are completely aware of this little bug here. Should never be past 100% unless something was skewed, but it won't in the future, and it won't in your system when you get it. Next thing here is it's going to show you your top closing ratios. So for source number 1, I've got a 40% closing ratio. For my closing ratio on mailers. So on mailers, look, this is what I wish I'd be focusing on. So when I look at all these, I can say on visits, which is could be like someone that comes into your door. Online, these are just a test. Unknown, just a test really, but it's probably unknown are the ones that were never assigned anything and has a really low closing ratio. No wonder, right? So on here, I would say personally, I'm going to want to focus on these 3 different types of leads. And I would still focus on these other leads, but I would really want to put like more money. If I was getting a 66.67% closing ratio on mailers, then I would know that is where I need to focus my time on. Very neat. And like I said, weekly, annual, yearly. We are working on managers reports. That part isn't part of your account yet, but in the future it probably will be, especially if you're getting set up now before we launch and we go public. All right, so that is the reports. Very, very good. Very helpful, very useful information here. Let's go ahead and go to lead management. So we can list our leads right here. Now, if you notice, here's all the leads. It's going to be, this is like all the leads in the system that I have. I mean, I can just